And so let's go live now to eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila, who's been tracking the situation in and around Diepkloof in Soweto. And Aviwe, give us an update. What's the situation looking like earlier on? This was billed to be an operation in the days building up to today, that those who were organizing were saying they want to clean, in their words, the streets of Soweto. How is it shaping up this morning?
Well, hundreds have gathered in the very streets of Soweto. The group that you're seeing now is the last couple of hundreds of community members of Soweto marching to Zone 6 in Diepkloof, an area that has now been termed Baghdad. There are hundreds more in front of us as even the police are ushering them by. We see the Johannesburg Metro Police Department together with the South African Police Service on the ground here, monitoring the situation. We understand they're going to this specific area because there are allegations of rife crime there. But to get more on this, I'm joined by Zandile Dabula, one of the Diepkloof community members. Why specifically Baghdad or Zone 6 here?
So Baghdad is a place where there's a lot of drugs happening, and apparently there's also prostitution that's also happening. So it's a name given by the community because there's a lot of illegal things happening. So we're here to give them a notice that we know about them, but can they stop? We're giving them notices that can they stop? Can this be a clean place? We're here to do a clean up, but rather today it's just a warning that can they please stop selling drugs? Can they please stop all the prostitution that's happening here at Baghdad?
Okay, we see a lot of heavy police presence. What's the link with the community members and the police here? Is it a joint operation?
At first, it was not joined, so what I suspect is they're here to monitor if we're on the right track, but because this is a peaceful march, we will be chanting peacefully, so there won't be any illegal activities happening. So they're here jointly now, so I can see that they are working hand to hand with us, but we had a problem just before we came to Zone 6 because they were almost trying to shoot the people and all that, thinking it was illegally so done, but they can see that it's peacefully. We negotiated with them and they gave us a go-ahead to go.
Okay, you're arriving now at Zone 6. What's going to happen?
So we're going to stand here and we're going to talk to the people here in Baghdad. That's when we're going to give them the heads up to say, we know what you guys are doing and we're quite aware of everything that's happening here. Can you guys stop? Can you stop killing our nation? Stop selling drugs to our kids?
Okay, and who are the people there? Because there are fears that it might be xenophobic related.
So as I've mentioned before, that we're not xenophobic at all, but the people here in Baghdad are not specifically the illegal people here. We've also got our own South African people that are also doing all the criminal activities here. So it's not just the illegal personnel that we're dealing with here in Baghdad.
Okay, but as you can see the heavy police presence behind us as we approach Zone 6 in Diepkloof, an area that has since been termed Baghdad. It's because of the illegal activities that have happened here. You heard from Zandile Dabula speaking of the prostitution, the drugs that are sold here, and so they're saying that they are now cleaning up Soweto, taking it upon them hands to clean it up at this very moment. In fact, there was a gentleman here that I spoke to earlier on, Pratulas, who was very trending in social media spaces of recent because of videos that he kept on making related to illegal people, illegal foreign nationals that have since invaded their area and are selling different drugs and so on, not compliant and not contributing towards the economy. So that gentleman suggests that they're now dealing with those issues on the ground. As you can see, the hundreds of community members in Diepkloof, Soweto, entering Baghdad, the Zone 6 area here.
So, Aviwe, there's an assortment of weapons that you've been mentioning that those who are part of this march are carrying and wielding. But in light of that, how would you describe the mood of the protest? Does it remain peaceful despite the presence and people wielding those various weapons?
At this stage, I must say that it's been very peaceful at this moment. From the early hours when we were at the Deep Kloof Community Hall, I feared that it would turn quite violent because of the number of shamboks, the number of knobkirries, just the number of sticks that were carried by the crowd that was gathering then, and just the utterances that were said on the ground in terms of moving the illegal immigrants and the illegal foreign nationals from their Soweto, saying that they are now claiming it back. In fact, there was a media communique that was shared just yesterday that spoke of how they will take it into their hands in terms of moving those that are not contributing positively towards Soweto. But at this stage, I must say it's been quite peaceful. There was almost a standoff between the police and the community as they marched down one of the roads there heading to Baghdad. But they then had a conversation with the police, and the leadership of Deep Kloof tells us that they are actually together with the police. It's a joint operation. They want to show the police where these criminal activities are happening so that the police can be alert and those people be moved. So today is quite peaceful, Bratulas, I must say, but my fear is what might ensue when the media is not here and when the police presence is not here in the week that we're going into.
Aviwe, your voice is getting drowned out, of course, because of that noise. And I'm wondering if, while you and I are talking, if it's possible for you to just step to the side a little bit so that you're not right in the line of fire of those voices in terms of the microphone picking those voices up, because we do use sensitive microphones. But as you do that, Aviwe, let me ask you what the end point of that particular march will be. You're saying that area is now known as Baghdad. Where exactly will this march end, and how will it end? Do they have a memorandum? Do they have an arrangement of who will receive this memorandum? Or is it intended that when they get there, there'll be almost like a blitz kind of situation where they go, you know, from house to house and talk to people or confront people? What is the end point?
So that's the idea that we're getting on the ground, is that they're moving to the known criminals, I'll term them that, in this area, and they'll be talking to them verbally with the help of police. There is no memorandum that we have seen at this point, and even in the communication that I've had with the various leaders on the ground, they suggest that this is a talk to address the issues that they face, the criminal activities that are happening in Soweto, and in fact they're now taking it upon themselves to clean it up. So there will be no one receiving a memorandum as per se. And in fact, I want to also catch up with one of the other community members and community leaders that we've been speaking to earlier as we approach Zone 6, the area that has now been known as Baghdad, just to get a clearer idea of what may happen properly on the ground. But as far as we can gather, there will be no memorandum that will be handed over, but it's showing the police that here are the criminals that are conducting the various alleged crimes in the area. We heard of prostitution. We heard of drugs that are being sold in this area as we now move in to Baghdad. The delegation that you see is just some of the other hundreds on the ground here. I'm just going to try and grab this gentleman quickly. But just quick one, no? We're approaching Baghdad now.
Yes.
What's going to happen? Is there a memorandum that will be handed over there? What's going to happen?
We're going to talk with those people and give them the notice. And then after that notice, we'll be dealing with the guy that is being arrested. From here, we are going to Deep Kloof police station. But the memo will be hand out from to Pakistan.
A memorandum or a notice, what's going to happen? Is it a verbal talk to these?
It's a verbal notification.
To say what exactly?
They must leave because they don't have documents. They don't have anything. They're selling drugs. And then we are tired of them because of they are running gangster in Deep Kloof. So we are against that. And we are tired of them because of their terrorizing people around here. So we are tired.
It seems like you know these people. What happens when you address these issues with the police here?
You know, police, they don't do the right thing. And they know that they are not doing the right thing. When people are doing right things, they are against them. So now we are tired. We are saying to the police, this is just a small knock. We are just knocking to them so that they must think twice, including the higher officers up there, the authorities. They must think twice because of we are coming back.
You say you're going to the police station. Okay, what's the purpose behind that?
I think that it's happening. It's a peaceful march, but one of the leaders, without telling anyone what is happening.
Okay, so but let me just get it straight. Was he arrested in a march or arrested in anticipation of this particular march?
They just did that thing to stop us, but we are not afraid of anyone. That's why we are still continuing with this thing. Because they did it yesterday, thinking that they will intimidate us. But we are not easily intimidated. We are here to stay. We are tired of these people who are selling drugs. We are not against xenophobic, but we are against people who are selling drugs from outside the country. And now it's high time that they must hear us thoroughly so.
Okay, one of the community leaders here as we enter Zone 6 intake group, an area that's now known as we heard it's going to be a verbal notification to the alleged criminals, telling them even essentially, as we heard from the gentleman, that they're undocumented and they must leave the country. Because of not specifically xenophobia, one of the leaders saying, but targeting the criminal elements that have crept up in Soweto and essentially ravaging the youth here. So we hear that we'll then move to the police station here because of an arrest that happened, one of the community leaders, as those messages were circulating yesterday of this particular march. We understand one of the community leaders was arrested. One of the members that I spoke to saying that in anticipation of what's happening now and trying to intimidate them, but they're not backing down and continuing with this march.
Yeah, and it must be said, Aviwe, that no one can claim that they were taken by surprise by the movements and the developments in Soweto today. I mean, it's been out there on social media for the last week or so, the plans that those community members have had. So from a policing perspective, I mean, one can only expect that they read it themselves to ensure that everything goes according to the prescripts of the law. I mean, it would be surprising to hear that anyone was taken by surprise by any of this. I mean, yesterday, the EFF, for example, issuing a statement and distancing itself and basically condemning what it says is xenophobic plans around xenophobia in and around Diepkloof. But as you say, those people who are part of that march saying that theirs is not a xenophobic cause, but they are seeking to address issues of drugs and crime in the community and wanting the police to be more active. Lastly, Aviwe, I mean, it's hard to miss that the numbers that are gathered there are anything but what we were told last night by President Cyril Ramaphosa, that these are the new regulations under the new level 3 restrictions. But I suppose in the circumstances, that's really the last thing on their minds, is it not?
Well, the numbers I can tell you from a head count, it's over 1,000 people that have gathered here, marching. I mean, it's different groupings that have been marching in hundreds here. So the numbers in terms of the protocols are not addressed here. I'm just going to come closer here to find out what's happening. Sorry, but just to understand what's happening here. Why are you stopping in this house?
There are houses that are selling drugs here. So we are here to tell them that they must stop selling drugs. As this place, it is known as a place where every drug peddler is residing. It is called Baghdad. So we are saying enough is enough. They must stop selling drugs here.
What's behind the name Baghdad? Because we understand it's Zone 6 Diepkloof.
It shows that this is a notorious place where prostitution is done, where children are being adopted because of the drugs, and there is a sexual exchange because of the drugs. So we are here to tell this community here that enough is enough with the drugs.
How will it work then in telling the community? Are you going to target specific houses?
Yes, we are targeting specific houses. We are having delegation on the ground that will go and convey the message on behalf of the masses of South Africa.
Okay, and then after today, what will happen then going forward? Is it the message going to infiltrate and you're expecting them to leave, or what's going to happen?
They must stop today and now in dealing with drugs. There is no other time, but now is the time.
Okay. Another community leader here, as they've stopped in a particular house, and in fact, they're stopping in groupings in different houses. On this particular street, you heard the area is called Baghdad because of its notoriety when it comes to the crime that's been happening in and around Soweto. You've heard the prostitution, people being abducted, just the different levels of crime that have been happening allegedly around here. So they're saying that they're addressing these specific houses that are known to them where these criminal activities happen, Batulas.
All right, Aviwe, let's leave it there for now. I can see that you are towards the business end of that particular march in as far as arriving at the various homes. So we will continue to just monitor your feed and return to it as and when you have updates for us, because that is where they are headed, to the various homes where they believe that drugs are sold, as we see from those visuals there, also with the assistance of members of the SAPS at the forefront there. We will continue to monitor your feed, and we will come back to you as and when you have new developments to report there. That is eNCA's senior reporter Aviwe Mtila, live for us at the in Diepkloof in Soweto, following that procession and march by residents. By the way, some of the issues that are being raised here, you and I will remember that they were part of the manifestos of the various political parties in 2019, right? The ANC, for instance, issues around migration and tightening and basically getting a grip on these issues of migration. I remember the DA also had that issue in their manifesto. The EFF, of course, has a position that basically says there's only one Africa, there's only one continent of Africa, and basically an African can never be foreign on the continent of Africa. There are nuances, of course, within these various positions, but I mean, all of those are subtle debates, and you hear them coming up from time to time as and when these issues do come up. Let me see if I can go back and show you more of those visuals. We are also, I must tell you, on standby for President Cyril Ramaphosa delivering the address on this Youth Day 2021, and as soon as we get a signal that he's ready and is about to speak, we will take you to that live. But I want to show you those visuals coming through from Aviwe Mtila and the team in Diepkloof. Aviwe, I see that you are inside a house. I see a lot of police activity. What is happening? Where are the occupants of the house? And why specifically are these marchers and the community leaders inside that house?
They're here with the police inside this house. They believe it's one of the houses that have these criminal activities. In fact, I'm going to ask one of the community members, why specifically this house?
Yeah, so we, as you see, we've been going through out different communities. The houses and the places that have been earmarked as the houses' problems. We go in it to verify the problem. We are with the police. Wherever there's a problem, we hand over the problem to the police. At no point is anyone encouraged to be fighting with anyone or raising the tension.
What happens in this house?
So what happens in this house is that apparently this house is a house that houses drug users and sells drugs. So we're here to verify that, and wherever we find a problem, hand over to the police. This is the cleanup campaign of Soweto.
Okay, I just want to move along, Bratulasa. There was a lady that was speaking to her here saying that she in fact lives in this house. Siswam?
No comment. Ngicela ungaphenduli next.
Kwenzeka ntoni kodwa phamela?
Angazi kwenzakalani, mina ngihlala la ekhaya kukithi. So yonke into abathi yenzakala angiyazi. Angikhomenti nix, angazi nix. Laba bathi kwenzakala something yiba baziyo bazonitshela. Mina angazi nix.
Uhlala bani kanti?
Uhlala mina nomalumami nabanye abafethu mara bahlali la bayeza nje kodwa bahlali la.
Ngobani abafethu ayingabe abakuthiwa kwenza idrugs?
angazi lento engisho ukuthi angazi angizwanga nix ngama drugs angizwanga angazi nix
wena ubona into xa kwenzeka apha into ezidibene
no
drugs
comment futhi ngicela kumele ndaba fethu ebathi bayathengisa nibuze nibona because mina angazi nix mina la kukithi akusukwami
upha abafeni
abeka ngibazi bathi.
Oh, okay. So allegedly, this is one of the houses that sell drugs, as we heard from the community leader. The lady now saying that she stays here. It's a family home, and in fact, there are people that aren't here who call them abafetu, like their brothers. They don't live here essentially, but they come in and out here. We heard the allegations of the drugs that are done, but this is her mother's house, and these people, these gentlemen that are alleged in all of this, aren't inside the house, so they're moving to house essentially. Situations of the drugs are happening. The police are here as well, also assisting. I saw one of the police in what looked like an intercom with some form of communication, even detailing the house number here, just in trying to help the community as well. You can see the number of community members as the gates are closed there, and the police are just blocking it off. But you can see hundreds of community members outside this particular. But I'm not sure you are still on us, but one of the gentlemen is still going to address the community members here. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get the sound properly.
We are still with you, Aviwe. Let's see how much of that we can catch, given some of the challenges that we are facing with the feed. I do suspect that it may be from our colleague who's operating the camera there, might need to check their cable because the feed does tend to, have a bit of a challenge from time to time. It is stable at the moment. Let's see how much of this we can take and how much of it we can hear from that community leader.
So Rekeni, Rasecha, Lima Polisa is a joint up. Indeed, mo, I rekisiwi, Marijelwa mo. So, Bakalimetu, because by Jangabayo, when Alimongantu, Mutomulo, Sanking Hante, Kintatemulu. So we can't begin to put that old man in the line of fire. The Quebecois and the drugs Montunya. So right, we are called the next thousands. Commander, high discipline, high moral. High discipline, high moral.
High discipline, high moral, said there by the community here, basically telling them that there's an old man here that lives here, that they don't want to put in the firing line bite. It's a joint operation with the police, and then just checking house to house. In fact, they're moving, we understand, next door, one of the houses not far from here now, where they'll also conduct a search there. It looks like they didn't find anything per se here, but we heard the people that normally come to this house, it's suggested that they're the ones that do the drugs. Drugs are down in their house, but they're not here. We spoke to one of the children that live here, a daughter essentially of the elderly man and the woman that live here. As the community moves on now, we understand, to the next house that will then they say with the South African Police Service and JMPD.
Yeah. Look, Aviwe, as we continue to watch your visuals, and we are tracking what you've been following and hearing from the people that you've been speaking to, one gets the sense that it's a bit of a fine line, a bit of a tightrope, a fine line between community activism for change on issues that pinch the community in particular, whose pinch they feel more than anyone else because it's a situation that affects them. It's a fine line between that and what could potentially become a situation of vigilantism. But